Hey there, all you Blackbloods. It's tough being Talon as she finds herself between two worlds. Naya's past comes back to haunt her, and a change of attitude did Tobin some real good. Don't go traveling the realm because we have a lot to discuss tonight.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, all of you AfterBuzz fans? Welcome back to the OUTPOST After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Veronica Valencia, and thank you again so much for tuning in every single week. Tonight, we are going to be talking all about Talon and how she's finding herself in between two worlds with, the humans and with the Blackbloods. We're going to be talking about Naya and how that really bad thing she did at the end of last season is coming back to haunt her and going to definitely affect her relationship with Janzo. We're also going to be talking about Tobin, who had a very rocky start, but we got to see a different side of him today, and we're going to see a new partnership work out between him and Gwyn as they work together as allies. But plus, we also got some news for you. We also got your scene stealers. But before we get into any of that, I kind of want to just start out by saying this episode was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, I did think it was going to be a little bit more diving into the past of Talon, kind of taking a bigger kind of flashback into, what happened. Maybe Zed would, see her homeland and kind of be able to piece together some of the questions that she's been having this season, some of the questions we as fans have been having. I thought it was going to be more heavily Talon and Zed, and it was, a pretty good part of the episode was definitely them. I just thought it would be more heavily focused on them with kind of delivering more of Talon's past. So, but that's a good thing because, you never want to be able to predict a show. And this show so far has not been predictable. There have been things that I thought that they would definitely do. They did not do it all. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, I kind of started off saying I thought this episode would be more about Talon and Zed. So let's talk about Talon and Zed. So I feel, we've been in this position before where Talon is in between two worlds. With Reb, she realized, oh my gosh, there are other Blackbloods out there like me. This is crazy. But, she didn't trust Zed, and for good reason. Reb wasn't one to be trusted. So it made her allegiance towards humans a lot easier. Her allegiance to Gwyn as well, since she's the queen. It made that much easier because, of course, she couldn't trust Reb. But the last few episodes, we were introduced to Zed, who is completely different from Reb, who has said that he wants to live peacefully among humans. He is a different type of Blackblood than Reb. And in the last episode, he saved Gwyn. So clearly his intentions are much better than Reb's were when he came through the portal. But Talon still can't trust him. And there was a weird thing with trust this episode, guys. It was like Talon couldn't trust Zed, but she expected Zed to trust her when it came to, that whole it wasn't a showdown, but that whole rivalry with Talon and Gwyn. It was a very weird thing, in order to get trust, you need to be trusted in that sense. And there was a very weird thing with that. So kind of going into, she was breaking the rules here in letting Zed stick around after Gwyn had banished her, which, that even was kind of sad because he did save her, but I can see Gwyn kind of looking out for the rest of the people, not being able to, the outpost possibly being threatened by a Lettieri staying around. She was looking out for her people, so I understand why she wanted to banish him, but it was still kind of sad because he saved her life. He saved everyone's life. So Talon's breaking the rules in keeping him around, and, she and Gwyn and Talon kind of have a little spat this episode, and it was kind of, you could tell it was very hurtful to Talon because maybe in that moment she still felt like she didn't have a place among humans. In the first season, Talon felt very alone because she was alone. She, growing up, she felt like her as a she and Blackbloods were never wanted. And I felt like this episode, she has come so far to feeling accepted for who she is and finding people to trust. And the fact that she had the spat with Gwyn, and Gwyn basically said, like, you Blackbloods need to, know where you belong in a sense. That was probably very hurtful, because that probably set Talon back a couple steps, like, oh, I still don't have a place in this world, and I thought I had come so far. So that was probably very hurtful, and that's probably what made her want to help Zed even more. That, and the fact that she knows Zed is the key right now to helping her find out more about her past. So that kind of, that definitely hurts her, but she wants to work out an agreement with Gwyn to, let him stay. And it all has to do with the Lettieri Vika, which, it brought up a good question, because everyone was thinking, Zed can't tame, he can't control the Lettieri, which I personally, and let me know what you think in the comments on social media. We have a live chat right now if you want to join in there, but let me know what you think. Do you think that the Lettieris can be controlled? I personally believe they do. I think they are a partner for the Blackbloods. They are, if a Blackblood chooses, like a familiar, like if a Blackblood chooses to have the Lettieri as a somewhat familiar, they can control them because it builds trust and there's that partnership there. I definitely think Zed could control Vika. It's just the food chain. It's just Vika is a demon. He's a Lettieri. He's a demon. Of course, he's going to be eating the livestock or killing the livestock and eating it, because that's just how it goes. And right now, that's what Gwyn is most concerned with. Her people are coming to her and saying that he's killing our livestock. We're running low on food. We need to take care of this issue. So that's where her mindset is. But I personally think they can be controlled. It's just, maybe there might be a rogue Lettieri, as we kind of come to find out later on the episode when Talon mentions it to Zed, and Zed says, oh yeah, that was a Lettieri with no master. So we know that there's two types of Lettieri, ones that kind of roam free and the others that choose to have a partner. But I definitely think that they can be controlled for sure. So, Talon requests that Zed trust her, even though she's still very shaky on whether she should trust him. And she says, in order to do this, you have to put Vika back through the portal for the time being. Zed does this, reluctantly. He's putting his trust in Talon, and he's hoping that Vika can come back later, which Talon is still shaky on. And again, Talon is between these two worlds. In that moment, she was probably finding herself more with Zed, because she had that moment where she probably felt, not accepted by Gwyn, but she still has that trust for her. She still has put so much of her trust and her faith in Gwyn that it's hard for her to shake, even if Gwyn, in the heat of the moment said something kind of hurtful. And in that moment, towards the end of the episode, she doesn't want to bring the Lettieri back. And that's just very hurtful for Zed, because, in the same sense, Zed is also thinking what maybe Talon thought of, we might want to live in peace, but we'll never be accepted. We'll never have a place. And it's tough to say. What do you guys think? Do you think that Blackbloods have a place in the realm? I think I think there's the possibility. I think just right now, the things aren't looking good. People of the outpost are scared. Everyone's kind of expecting this attack by the Prime Order, and to have a demon running around doesn't help them feel safe, is definitely what Gwyn is suspecting. But of course, there has to be a place for Blackbloods in the realm. There are so many types of creatures in this world. They all have their place, and definitely should Blackbloods. Let's see here. I'm just going to take a look in the chat real quick. Shout out to Adam Rodriguez. Adam, thank you so much for joining us. I see you in the chat almost every week. Thank you so much. I appreciate you chatting with me. It makes it easier to get different ideas that aren't just mine. So you're saying Talon will have a difficult choice to make between Gwyn and Zed, because Gwyn is her friend and Zed might be the future love interest. He could be a potential. I definitely agree with you with that. Talon may have to, I don't know if she'll have to choose, but for right now, it feels like she does have to choose. So I totally understand what you're saying. I could see Zed as a love interest, but I think right now, more than anything, he's the key to helping her unlock her past. And she sees that as very necessary and very important to kind of understand how she needs to go forward. So a lot going on there. I also have another question for you because this came to my mind because we were dealing a lot with the Lettieri this episode as well. In addition to my question of, do you think the Lettieri can be controlled? Do you think ever at a point in time they roamed free? That was something that came into my mind because, you know, the first time we ever get introduced to one, it's brought through a portal. And I'm kind of thinking, well, the Lettieri were placed there with the Blackbloods. The Blackbloods were once roaming the realm, so the Lettieri should also have roamed free in the realm too. Were they always kind of partners, or were they separate and then came together? I'm really curious about the deeper mythology of the Blackbloods and the Lettieris, and I thought we would get a little bit more of that episode, but I just can only assume that there is more to come with that. So that was kind of my thoughts on Talon and Zed this episode. I would like to move on to another big two characters that had a lot to show this episode, which is Tobin and Gwyn. But before we go into Tobin and Gwyn, you know, I just wanted to say thank you so much for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk. If you watch AfterBuzz, you know that we cover everything from sci-fi, fantasy, superheroes, dramas, comedies, reality TV. We have it all, and we all here just love discussing these shows, and we love discussing them with you. So, you know, we ask you that you please subscribe to us on YouTube or give us a 5-star rating on iTunes because, you know, 1 through 4 do not work, and leave us a comment. But, you know, just wherever you are, always get involved in the conversation. You can get involved in the conversation. Leave us comments on YouTube. Talk to us in the live chat. You know, even talk to us on social media. I just want to give some shout outs to, you know, some people who have been engaging with the show, and as me as well. I want to give a shout out to Cool Ranch. I want to give a shout out to Becca Lee G, Lady Chris, One Happy Jan, and Girl Wednesday. Some of you have been, you know, getting involved on YouTube. Others have been getting involved on social media. Just thank you so much for discussing this show. It's amazing, and it just goes to show that we want to talk about this show. So thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you. All right. Now let's go into Tobin and Gwyn. So this was actually one of my favorite things to see this episode, I'll be perfectly honest. You know, we obviously know Tobin is someone who came in and was very arrogant, very womanizing, and, you know, it was hard to warm up to him because we were like Gwyn, we just wanted to instantly shut him down. This episode, we got to see a different side of him, a more serious side, which was really nice. We also kind of got to see a more casual side of Gwyn. It was very small, but we got to see that too. You know, this entire season so far, Gwyn has, you know, kind of has had her guard up because she feels she really has to play the part of a royal, really has to, you know, have the answers for the people whenever they come to her with questions. And I felt like this episode, she was able to let her guard down just a little bit and have a normal conversation. I mean, it was kind of about, you know, the kingdom, but it was still, you know, casual. She was able to be a little bit more comfortable. So, you know, Gwyn invites Tobin to dinner. And first of all, I found it very interesting that he asked about Garrett. And I feel like that was kind of the turning point for him in this episode. Because he was still coming across like, oh, Gertie, just one more drink. Like, he was still trying to be up to his old ways. But once he found out about Garrett, I felt like that was the turning point. And the reason for that is because I think knowing the fact that Gwyn had a love interest and someone that she deeply cared about made him change his perception of her. Because, you know, Gwyn, probably to him, Gwyn is cold. Gwyn has a guard up. You know, Gwyn is not capable of letting people in. But once he found out that she did have someone that she truly cared about and was able to kind of let her guard down with, he probably saw her in a different light and was like, oh, this is someone who I misjudged. And you could kind of tell that in their conversation through dinner, which that was nice too, because again, Gwyn was able to let her guard down a little bit, and we got to learn a little bit more about Tobin, which that was really cool to kind of find out that his mission isn't driven by revenge or, kind of like Talon. Talon was driven by revenge, wanting to get justice for her people. Tobin's mission is wanting to create a more peaceful world. We find out that his sister was killed by the Prime Order, and basically his dad was a coward and didn't want to do anything about it. And after seeing that, Tobin has this rage, but he's not using it to, what's I'm looking for? He has this rage, but he's not using that to just kind of wreak havoc. He's using that rage to hopefully make his way towards a better world. And that's kind of why he wants to bear a son, because he wants that son to be the leader that brings the peace, which that was very sweet to hear. With the way he was introduced, you definitely wouldn't think that that was in his character. So that was a pleasant surprise to kind of hear about that. So not only did we get to see that side of him, we also kind of got to see him with Gwyn and go on like a very nice horse. I almost forgot that animal. A horse ride. And we kind of got to see them and, just them getting comfortable with each other. For right now, I'm happy that it just seems like they want to be allies. If they become love interests down the line, that's another thing. But for right now, I am pleased with them just being allies, because that's where they need to start. They need to start as being allies, being able to being comfortable with each other, being able to work together, granted the situation that they're in. What was interesting about Tobin too also this episode was not only we kind of saw what drives him, we also saw that he's not as unintelligent as maybe he came across as in the beginning, because he immediately suspects Naya of being the traitor from last season, which we know he's not wrong, but he noticed her little stumble when they mentioned the traitor, and then we also notice his perception of her when she's reading the mail that she gets and kind of how startled she might be, and he goes to confront her. So he's not as unintelligent as maybe we thought. There's definitely more to this character, and we got to definitely see a little bit more, and I'm sure we'll get to see more as him and Gwyn grow closer as allies. And I don't think he's going to just throw this suspicion of Naya away. I think this is going to linger for a while as well. Speaking of Naya, oh boy, I always knew that this was going to be incredibly bittersweet. Some fans really want Talon and Janzo together. I think Janzo, for right now, needs to move on. And I'm happy that he moved on, and I'm happy that he moved on to Naya. I feel like they both are very similar currently, and I think they work very well together. But I knew that this was going to be very bittersweet because, of course, knowing what Naya did in season 1, I don't think Janzo would be able to forgive that. It was a very deep betrayal, and that's kind of the domino effect. What she did started the domino effect of everything else that occurred. She let Dred go. Dred stabbed Garrett. Garrett was taken by the Prime Order. Would Garrett have been taken by the Prime Order regardless if Dred hadn't gotten away? Yes, very well possibly, but Dred was still being used in that mission to trick Garrett. We all remember a few episodes ago where Dred told him the story, and he was like, he told that one dude, I told Garrett what you wanted me to. He was in on it. And so from there it was just a domino effect. And especially kind of knowing where Garrett is now and having everyone see him, that's definitely gonna come back to bite her in the butt. And I just feel like no one would really be able to forgive her. I don't think Gwyn would be able to forgive her. I don't think Talon would be able to forgive her. And then I just feel like by default, Janzo would feel like he couldn't forgive her. So it's very bittersweet because it's so nice to see these two people find each other and, Janzo to be happy and get to see more of Naya as a character, only for it to kind of come falling down because she has this big secret she's hiding. But we all knew that this was going to come out at some point. I'm just curious how long it's going to go on. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know if it will go on. I think Tobin could very well find out in the next episode. And the reason I say that is because anytime I've thought something was going to be drawn out in the show, it hasn't. And I don't mean drawn out in the sense, oh, they're milking it. Just, a little bit more time to develop things. I thought that they would, expand a little bit more on the Dragman. I was wrong. I thought they would expand a little bit more on Reb. I was wrong. I thought that, we would get more Withers. I was wrong. This episode, I thought that they would kind of use Garrett to be like a spy and infiltrate the outpost and kind of act like he's still the same Garrett, but he's not. He stabbed Talon at the end of this episode. That's not what I thought was going to happen. So it very well could be that next episode, Naya gets revealed to be the suspect, the betrayer. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. Now, kind of the last person that got some screen time this episode was definitely the Mistress. And, she's always a fun time. She's kind of, the show can be taken very serious with everything that's going on. And she's always meant to kind of bring in the kind of the comedic relief, but also kind of just like oh, this is fun. I get to like breathe a little bit because this is just fun. This isn't meant to be like super serious. And we all know that in the last episode, the last few episodes, she made a agreement with Gwyn that in order to kind of stand by her side, she will pay the people her dirty money, her dirty Calypso money. And it's just very kind of interesting because, we all know that she's always up to something, and she is going to, she never really does anything for the good, if that makes sense. So we all knew that she was up to something, and of course, she's kind of in it for, I'll give these people money because I know in the end, I'll make more of a profit out of this. And being able to be at the queen's side means that she can kind of make decisions. As we saw, she's trying to make an alliance with Gertie. She's like, if I promise you a marriage, you promise me an ally. So she's definitely living off the power. She's definitely looking for the money in the end. She's probably also looking for the control because as we saw with the miners, she's like, well, I'm in control. I can kind of do what I want. You want to negotiate with me? Well, I'll tell you how it's going to go. She's always so fun and just always so interesting. So I just kind of want to go to the chat because I see that some of you are here. OMG Justin is saying, I really like that Tobin got a chance to show that he was more than just good looking. I agree. I really liked that we got to see a little bit more of his character. We got to see that he isn't, the person that he was introduced as. There's definitely more layers to this character as well. And Paul Garcia says, I don't see Naya existing past this season, unfortunately, but I hope I am wrong. You never know. It's because we know it's going to be revealed that she was the person who betrayed them, and I wonder how they'll handle her character. I wonder if there will be a chance of forgiveness. What do you guys think? Do you think Naya could be forgiven? Do you think she could stick around a couple more seasons and become more of a character? Will we see more of her, or do you think once it's found out she's gone, she's toast, and that's kind of the end of that? I'd love to get your opinion on that. And OMG Justin just kind of going off of that point is saying, I just hope Janzo doesn't give up entirely on finding the one after Naya is busted. I don't think he will. He has a big heart, and I think he will, I think he might be closed off for just a little bit, but I think he'll eventually open up to the idea of love again, for sure. So, guys, that was kind of my initial thoughts on, well, not initial, but those were some of my thoughts on tonight's episode. Please, I felt like I had a lot of questions this episode. I would love to get your opinion. So, again, leave us a comment or review on iTunes. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Let me know on social media what you think. I'd love to get your opinions. So, for right now, though, let's move on to some news and gossip about the show.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So this first piece of news is a little late, but I thought I would share it anyway. For those of you who are wondering, The Outpost is officially on DVD. So if any of you wanted to go out and, own a physical copy, you can definitely do that now. All of season 1 is out on DVD. I've been seeing some people have already, or some fans rather, have already bought it when I was going through Twitter. So yeah, if you want to own the first season, you can definitely do so now. I believe it's also on Amazon Prime, so no excuse. Go watch it. And then, of course, if you follow any of the cast and crew of The Outpost on Twitter, you would have noticed that they are also tweeting out links to the People's Choice Awards, because what they're doing right now is it's an open nomination. So you can go to the links that they are posting for the People's Choice Awards and nominate The Outpost for Best Sci-Fi Fantasy Show of 2019. So if you want to try and see if The Outpost can get on the ballot, go vote. Go vote. It's totally open right now. Anything can happen. And yeah, that would be really cool. They're giving you the links. Definitely go vote, because this show has definitely big glow up. Like, everything is just bigger and better this season for sure. So now let's go into our special segment, which is our Scene Stealer segment. Now, okay, so I'm cheating a little bit this week because I have 2 Scene Stealers, and it's just definitely Gwyn and Tobin. I really enjoyed all of the scenes that they were in this season, because I felt like we got to see different sides of these characters for sure. So Gwyn definitely, just kind of being able to let her guard down a little bit from having to put up this facade of, I'm the royal that has it all together, because we know she's figuring it out as she goes along. And then Tobin as well, just because, again, we got to see kind of what drives him, and it's not rage, and it's not, royalty and money and women and, kind of the stuff that we thought it would have been when he was initially introduced. So definitely 2 characters, I think, that really got to grow a little bit this episode, and their scenes together were very nice, and I really enjoyed them. All right, guys, let's get into some predictions for next week.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
You know what? I'm going to throw it out there. I think Naya might get revealed next episode. And like I said, I think that just because things have been moving really fast in this show. So I definitely think that reveal could be coming next week. I kind of don't know what's going to happen with Talon and Garrett. I'm assuming that maybe Garrett is going to just try and make his way back to the outpost and just go for it. Like I said, I thought that they would have tried to, infiltrate secretly, have him play the facade of I'm still Garrett, but I guess that's not happening. But I think he's definitely going to make his way to the outpost. I think we'll see a little bit more of him. We just needed a breather after last episode. And again, I was hoping this episode we would get a little bit more of Talon's backstory and her past. And I'm hoping that we'll see a little bit more of that next episode, since her and Zed were on the way to her home. But there's obviously going to be a pit stop, or some kind of distraction because Talon got stabbed. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm hoping to maybe get just a little bit more insight into her next episode. Again, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into the Outpost After Show with me. I'm Veronica Valencia. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, Veronica_V. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.